The sky above New Kyoto Station on Mars was peaceful that day. Children played near the gardens, but the red soil had long been turned into parks, flowers blooming under the clear dome. Humans and aliens lived side by side. The Galactic Peace Accord had been in place for 12 years. Everyone believed the war days were gone, but peace is a fragile thing. 8-year-old Liana Cruz ran toward the fountain, chasing a butterfly-shaped drone. Her laughter echoed in the quiet air. Her mother, Dr. Alina Cruz, a respected xenobiologist, watched from a bench nearby with a soft smile. Then, without warning, a tall alien stepped out from a crowd. His body was scaled in silver. His race, called the Virith, were recent members of the Galactic Council. New allies, supposedly peaceful. The alien looked down at the child, his eyes narrowed. And in full view of cameras, tourists, and security, he raised his arm and struck the girl across the face. Her small body flew through the air like a doll. She landed hard, unmoving. People screamed. Lena rushed forward in horror, but before she could reach her daughter, the alien pulled out a blade. A curved bone, weapon ancient, illegal, meant for killing. He raised it again. That was his second mistake. The first was touching the child. The second was thinking anyone would let him live after that. A security officer fired. The shot hit the alien's chest, burning through armor and scale. Dead, 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 dead. Blood spilled across the red soil. The girl lay silent. Medics rushed in, drones flew, cameras zoomed, and in less than 30 minutes the footage had reached Earth. The Terran Emergency Response Command Turk reviewed the video in silence. The room was filled with admirals, diplomats, and intelligence leaders. Admiral Kara Meneth stared at the screen. "She was 8, she said, her voice sharp. "She's alive," said the doctor beside her. "Barely. Broken skull, punctured lung, internal bleeding, but alive." There was silence again. Then one of the envoys from the Galactic Council sent a message. It was a cultural misunderstanding. The Virith warrior did not understand the child's actions. They request Earth to show restraint during the investigation. Admiral Menetha's eyes hardened. "Restraint," she repeated. "One of ours was attacked, a child, on our soil, on a peaceful colony." "Should we wait for the council's ruling?" asked a young diplomat. "No," she said. "I don't. Wait when someone strikes one of our children." Earth didn't send a warning. They sent a fleet. The UNS Archangel was the first to leave orbit. Then came the Wrath-class destroyers, the Sirius battle group, and 3 medical ships marked with red crosses. They didn't speak to the council. They didn't ask permission. The message was clear. You hurt one of ours. We're coming. Meanwhile, the Virith homeworld, Thrixis, received news of the incident. The council begged them to cooperate. "Apologize," they said. "Humans take these things seriously." But the Virith laughed. "They are soft," said their prime speaker. "One small girl, one mistake. They will bark, but they won't bite." He didn't know Earth had already launched its counterstrike. Back on Mars, Alina Cruz sat beside her daughter in the hospital. Liana was in a medical coma. Tubes and machines surrounded her small frame. The doctors said her chances were 50-50. Alina didn't cry. She didn't speak. But when she saw the breaking news that Earth's fleet was heading to Virith space, she only whispered, "Good." On board the UNS Archangel, Admiral Meneth stood before her soldiers. Marines in black armor, pilots in flight suits, AI units. Buzzing with activity, she spoke clearly, coldly. "To every person listening across the Terran network, this is not a war of conquest. We are not seeking territory or control. But one of ours, a child, was hurt on our soil, and that cannot go unanswered. This is not politics. It's not diplomacy. This is justice." The soldiers pounded their chests in silence. Not one cheered. They weren't celebrating. They were angry. Across the galaxy, people watched in shock. The council begged Earth to stop. News anchors whispered, "Are we about to see the true side of humanity?" A Zalari general said in fear, "I remember the last time Earth got serious. They erased an entire pirate empire in 6 hours." A historian on Hylian Prime said, "When humans go quiet, it's when you run." As the fleet neared Virith. Space. The final message was sent. It came from Earth. Short, cold, delivered in every major galactic language. "We tried peace. You struck our child. Now you'll meet what we buried." When the Galactic News Network released the footage, the entire galaxy stopped. It showed a small child Mira Hale being struck by a Zarnak officer during a patrol on the neutral planet, Larith 7. The alien's clawed hand shoved the little girl across the market square. She fell hard. Her small body didn't move. A nearby human trader screamed. Seconds later, a Terran Marine sprinted out from the crowd. It was already too late. Myra's father, Captain Darian Hale, was on Earth when the footage reached him. He didn't speak. He didn't cry. He simply walked into the Terran command office, placed the data chip on the table, and said, "I want clearance for Operation Iron Flame." The room went cold. Iron Flame was not a rescue mission. It was not a diplomatic action. It was pure retaliation. The Galactic Council sent a message within hours. It was an accident. The officer will be punished. Do not overreact. Overreact. Word reached every human colony, every fleet, every soldier, and it sparked something deep and dangerous. President Lenara of Earth stood before the United Nations Assembly. Cameras broadcast her voice to billions. The Council calls it an accident. But when a 6-year-old child is attacked in open daylight, when our own are beaten in front of laughing crowds, that's not an accident. That's a warning. She paused. The world held its breath. We will answer with fire and fury. That same night, dozens of Terran warships activated. Silent, focused, ready. The fleets didn't go to Lori-7. They didn't aim for the attacker. They went straight for the Zarnok home system. Admiral Talrax stared at the intelligence reports. "They're coming," he whispered. His aide looked confused. "Who?" "Humans," he said. "Not diplomats, not traitors, not peacekeepers. The real ones. The ones we hoped we'd never meet." The Zarnok Empire had mocked Earth many times. Called them soft, weak, too emotional. Now they were remembering the war with the Grawl. Back then, Earth's forces had wiped out an entire invading race in less than a year, and now they were moving again with that same cold, precise rage as the Terran fleets approached Zarnok borders. They sent a single message. "You struck one child. Now you will learn what we buried beneath our peace." No further communication was given. The message spread across the stars like wildfire. Galactic news. Anchors stammered on live feeds. Civilians fled border planets. Diplomats begged for calm, but Earth was silent. In a hospital on Earth, Mira Hales' body was placed in a white stasis chamber. The room was quiet. Her mother, Lyra Hale, stood by the glass. A Terran AI played a soft lullaby in the background. It had been Mira's favorite. Lyra touched the glass and whispered, "They don't know what they've done." Outside, a long line of people strangers. Soldiers, teachers, miners came to pay respect. None of them had known Mira, but to them, she was every human child, and her fall had become a symbol, far from Earth. A Black Ops ship named Vengeance Dawn detached from the main fleet. Its mission was simple. Hit the Zarnak's central command hub on Vax AR-4. Inside the ship were 12 elite soldiers. One of them, Commander Rivas, held a holophoto of his daughter. "She's the same age as Mira," he said to the team. Another soldier nodded. "Let's make sure no one ever dares touch another one of ours." 3 days later, Vengeance Dawn entered Zarnak orbit under stealth. In just 4 minutes, it disabled planetary defenses, hacked military comms, and struck the Grand Command Tower with pinpoint blasts. The Zarnak leadership was decapitated, gone. Before they could react, the attack was clean, fast, surgical, and terrifying, because it wasn't a full war yet. It was just the beginning. The Galactic Council panicked. Meetings ran for 72 hours straight. Ambassadors screamed at each other. The Solari tried to offer peace talks. The Gornak urged military resistance. The Zur kept silent, but everyone knew one truth. Humanity had finally dropped the mask. They weren't the fragile species everyone believed. They were a storm, long held back by choice. And now that storm had been unleashed. President Lenara stood again before the cameras. No more warnings. No more excuses. "If you harm our children, you will face all of us. Our scientists, our machines, our soldiers, our fury." The speech went viral across 10,000 worlds. Some feared it, some respected it, but all understood it. The fires on Mars Base Alpha still burned, but the videos of the attack had already spread across Earth like a storm. People watched the footage in horror. A small human child, Della Torres, had simply tried to hand a flower to the tall alien, delegate from the Jorvax. Instead of kindness, the alien struck her hard across the face. The footage froze at the moment of impact. The girl's small body falling, the sound of her mother's scream in the background. The silence of the soldiers who watched, their hands on weapons. But orders held them back. For a brief moment, the world stood still, and then Earth woke up. The attack on Lily had changed everything. Before that day, Earth was quiet, peaceful, focused on science, trade, and helping the galaxy grow together. But when news of the injured human child spread, when the image of Lily in the hospital, covered in burns, went viral, something inside humanity broke. And what came next was not negotiation, was not politics, it was fire in Earth's orbit. The warship HSS Deliverance floated like a sleeping dragon. Built for defense, It had never fired in anger. Its hull was coated in reflective black material that shimmered like water in the sun. Its weapons were locked. Its crew calm. But now those locks were gone. Commander Alla Reeves stood on the bridge, staring at the stars. Her jaw was tight. Her hands were still. A photo of Lily was projected on a small display beside her. Not for orders, not for data. Shh. As a reminder, are the coordinates locked? She asked. Yes, ma'am, replied Ensign Toma. The Ekris planet of Javel is set. Fleet formation is in position. Alla nodded once. Then let them see what happens when you touch one. Of ours. The planet Javel, home to the Ekris Council, was known for its shining towers, red deserts, and massive trade domes. It was the pride of the Ekris species. Untouchable, protected, safe, until. Now, the moment the first human ship entered the system, alarms sounded across Javel's skies. Ekris defense fleets rushed to intercept, but the humans weren't coming. To talk? They didn't send warnings. They sent hellfire. The HSS Deliverance opened its hangars, releasing a swarm of unmanned drone fighters. Each drone was the size of a shuttle, armed with high-speed kinetic weapons and cloaked tech. They flew like shadows, silent, fast, deadly. Ekris Command tried to respond. Their cruisers launched interceptors. Orbital cannons fired blindly into the blackness of space. Nothing hit. And then, first strike came. One drone dived straight into the council hall, no explosion, just impact. A burst of white flash, then silence. The structure disintegrated from the inside out. Not rubble, not fire, just dust. The Ekris generals screamed orders. They had no idea where the enemy was. They couldn't track the ships. They couldn't find the fleet. They couldn't believe this was for one child. They had made a terrible mistake. Down below, civilians of Javel panicked. News feeds showed burning towers, collapsing domes, and fire raining from the sky. No message came from the humans, no demand, no call for surrender. Just one signal, repeating in every language. You hurt a human child. Now feel what we buried. For peace? Alla stood on the bridge. Her eyes never left the screen. Dozens of Ekris ships had fallen. Hundreds of defense satellites were now debris. But she wasn't done. Engage ground units, she ordered. Phase 2. Within moments, drop pods shot down toward the planet's surface. Inside were human soldiers, special units trained not for occupation, but for one thing. Retribution. They moved like ghosts, silent, no emotion. No mercy. They weren't there to conquer Javel. They were there to erase it. Back on Earth, people. Watch the broadcast. There was no cheering, no celebration. It's just silence. This wasn't a war for glory. This was justice. Lily's mother, Sarah, sat in her home watching the live feeds. Her daughter, still recovering, rested beside her. Sarah didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just whispered, they should have known better. On Javel, the Ekris finally broke. Their chancellor, injured and desperate, sent out a signal to all human ships. Please, we surrender. We beg for peace. Mercy. This was a mistake. Alla received the transmission. She stared at it. Then she replied. So was touching Lily. Gave one final order. The last human ship, a stealth cruiser named Wrath, targeted the central power grid of the planet. A single blast later, the entire Ekris system went dark. No power. No shields. No ships. Just silence that day. The galaxy changed. Empires realized something terrible. They had seen Earth's kindness, its diplomacy, its willingness to forgive, but they had never seen Earth's rage. Now, they had, and no one would forget it. Not ever. The United Nations didn't meet in chambers. They met underground, in the emergency war room. The president of the Terran Federation gave the order with no hesitation. This was not a mistake. It was a message. Now, they will hear ours. Earth's response was not diplomatic. It was military. 12. Fleets were launched within hours. From lunar stations, Mars orbit, and Earth's hidden deep space shipyards, old warships were brought back online. Some of them hadn't flown since the Vornar invasion 50 years ago, but their cores still pulsed with deadly power. They were cleaned, armed, and renamed. Each one bore a name etched in steel. Ella's Vengeance, Fury of Earth. Silent Wrath, the final gift humanity's silence was gone. Now came the sound of vengeance, roaring across stars. The Yorvax had ruled over 18 sectors for nearly 2 centuries. They were used to fear and obedience. To them, the striking of a human child was nothing. In their culture, showing weakness was shameful even in a child. But they had made one mistake. They forgot humans don't forgive. Now, their council chamber was filled with panic. What do you mean 12 fleets are coming? We only struck a child. No, said one of the younger warlords. We struck Earth's heart. They watched the feeds. Human fleets didn't move like standard military vessels. They moved like predators, fast, silent. With one goal, they were not here for war. They were here for punishment. Just as the human fleets entered Yorvok territory, Earth sent one message. It was a short recording, no threats. Human generals stared into the screen. We sent diplomats. We offered peace. You answered with violence. You will meet what we buried long ago, our rage. We are not coming to talk. We are coming to remind you. No one hurts our children. The signal ended. There was no reply from the Yorvaks. They had nothing to say, only fear in their eyes. Humanity's attack did not begin with orbital bombardment. They sent in the Black Corps. These were special unit soldiers, trained for deep insertion missions. Their armor was black, their faces hidden. They landed silently on the Yorvok border colony of Frel-Tan-9 within 6 hours. Every military outpost on the colony was silent, no alarms, no distress calls, only silence. When the Jorvak High Command sent a scout ship, all they found was a massive human flag planted in the center of the capital ruins. A message was burned into the metal beside it. This is the cost of one child's pain. Other alien races watched with terror. The Norgal Empire immediately recalled their ambassadors from human space. The Kelnary Senate held an emergency. Vote to place all borders on lockdown. No one wanted to be next. Everyone had laughed at Earth once, called them soft, emotional, too fragile, but no one was laughing now. The humans had held back, their full strength for decades. Everyone believed Earth was peaceful because they had no choice, but the truth was far more dangerous. They chose peace until now. The galaxy would see what Earth was capable of. In a quiet hospital, young Ella Torres still slept. Her body was healing, her face had bruises, but her spirit remained unbroken. Beside her mother watched the newsfeed showing the destruction of Frel-Tan-9. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from sadness, from pride. A nurse leaned over and whispered, "Your daughter woke the giants." The mother didn't speak. She just held Ella's small hand tighter, above the burning world of Frel-Tan-9. Admiral Marcus stood on the bridge of the flagship Fury of Earth. His face was hard, his voice cold. "Next target?" the officer asked. Marcus didn't blink. "There. Homeworld." No hesitation. No mercy. Earth had spoken. Now fire would follow. The skies above Zalrin turned dark. Not from nightfall, from ships. Thousands of human warships. The once bright alien capital, glowing with silver towers and golden sky lanes, now stood under a shadow that stretched across the entire city.
Hi.
Children of Zalrin pointed upward, confused. The adults felt something colder. Fear. For the first time in generations. The Zalrin Empire felt small, high above. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the HSS Retribution. His eyes watched. The alien planet turning slowly beneath him. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. Beside him stood Captain Ramirez, reading the reports. All systems ready. Drones launched. Orbital platforms cleared. Hayes nodded once. "Any word from their leaders?" he asked calmly. Ramirez shook his head. "High Command has gone silent. They shut down all channels the moment our fleet entered orbit." Hayes clenched his jaw. Cowards. The bridge was silent. Everyone on board the Retribution knew why they were here. The message from Earth had been clear. An alien struck a human child. We do not forgive. On the surface of Zalrin, the people panicked. Emergency sirens screamed. Transports jammed the skies. News broadcasts showed human ships in formation, unmoving, watching. Some still believed it was a show of force. A warning. They were wrong. The first strike came at 6 o'clock local time. Precise. Clean. The orbital defense. Grid gone. In one strike, no warning, no negotiation, no second chances. At Human Command, the decision had already been made days ago. After the attack on Lena Hale, the 6-year-old human child, Earth's United Nations sent one message to the Zalrin Empire: surrender the soldier who struck the child, publicly or face extinction. The Zalrin laughed. They called it an accident, said the child had wandered too close to a military compound. Claimed they didn't even realize she was human, but Earth didn't care for excuses. They had tried peace, now they brought. Fury Admiral Hayes gave the next command: begin Phase 2. The warships opened their lower hulls. Thousands of drones flew out in waves, black clouds of them, fast, silent, and unstoppable. They swept across Zalrin cities, disabling communication. Towers, power grids, military bases, no bombs. Not yet, just silence. Controlled darkness. Let them feel helpless. Back in the Zalrin High Command bunker, their emperor shouted, "Open communication. Talk to them. This has gone too far." His generals scrambled, their claws shaking, but no. Human ship responded. No screen lit up. No offer for peace. It's just static. For years, the Zhaorin had seen humans as weak, emotional. It's too soft. Now they saw them as something else entirely. In orbit, the second wave launched. This time it wasn't. Just drones, heavy bombers, stealth cruisers. Infantry drop-dash pods. They didn't target civilians, not unless civilians stood in defense. Every government facility, military command center, weapons lab, and research station was hit. Precision strikes. Zero mercy. The humans weren't trying. To conquer, they were making a point. In the middle of the firestorm, one Zhaorin general tried to rally his troops. They can't destroy us all. We are a mighty empire. But his words barely left his mouth before a railgun shell vaporized the balcony he stood. On gone, the people of Zhaorin now understood. This was not war. This was punishment. Down on the surface. Human drop pods slammed into the ground near the site where Lena Hale had been attacked. Marines stepped out in black exosuits. Visors glowing red, weapons drawn. They marched straight to the site. No resistance. A human child had bled here, so now, humanity made the ground remember her. The site was scanned, recorded, and a black obelisk was placed in the center. Engraved with one line, "One tear fell here, so now you all will drown." From Orbit Earth broadcasted only one message now, across all channels, all languages. This is not conquest. This is not war. This is justice. We tried peace. Now you meet what we buried. Zhaorin cities fell silent. No ships flew. No resistance moved. In just one solar cycle, the proud empire that ruled 19 systems had been broken without a single human casualty. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge again. Looking down, "Send in the final squad," he said. Captain Ramirez hesitated. "The target? The soldier who struck the child?" She nodded, found hiding in a diplomatic transport. "Alive." For now, Hayes nodded. "Bring him." That part wasn't Brecked. The soldier who hit Lena Hale was brought before Earth's tribunal. Not killed. Not tortured. He was made to kneel before the child's recorded hologram looping endlessly. Her crying. Her blood. He was told to watch it again, and again, and again. Because humans weren't just warriors. They were something far older. Far deeper, they remembered. And they made sure. Others did too. The stars above burned quietly as the Earth fleet moved through the dead silence of space. Every ship was on alert. No one spoke unless needed. The mission had changed. What started as a warning had become something much darker. Humanity wasn't just responding anymore, they were hunting. The scout ship Falcon's watch flew ahead, scanning the next system. Captain Lena Drew sat forward in her seat, staring at the data feed. A single blip appeared on the screen. One large ship. It's not moving. No defense signals. No transmissions. She narrowed her eyes. "That's not a trap," she muttered. "That's bait." She was right. As the fleet approached the system, the alien dreadnought powered up suddenly. Shields flared. Weapons aimed. But instead of attacking, it broadcast a signal. "Cease your advance. We did not approve the child's harm. The attacker has been punished. Let this end." But it was too late for words. The message was sent too late. The fire inside humanity had grown beyond reason. The child's image had spread across every colony. Her small face, her broken body, her last scream it was burned into every soldier's mind. No one cared for alien apologies anymore. Earth. Command responded coldly. "You struck a child. Now you face the adults." With a roar of vengeance and flashes of bright energy, the first human ships charged. The dreadnought tried to fight, but it was not built for war. It was a command ship. Within minutes, it was reduced to floating metal. Back on Earth, world leaders gathered in the Global Assembly. Every screen showed the fleet's progress. Millions of people watched in silence. Not one protested. Not one asked for mercy. Ambassador Reen of the Tharkai Alliance tried again. This time, he came in person. His ship landed in Geneva, under heavy guard. He was tall, with scaled skin and deep green eyes. As he stepped into the assembly hall, he bowed deeply. "I come with respect. I beg you stop. We made a mistake. This cannot continue. No, you are tearing through our worlds like fire through dry grass." Chairwoman Alina Rai stood slowly. Her voice was quiet, cold. "We asked for peace. We warned you. You struck a child now. Face what we kept buried." Reen took a step forward. "Please. There must be another way." Lena looked at him. There was. "You ended it." Then she turned to the display. The next system fell. Then, another. The human fleet didn't slow down. Colonies were evacuated. Alien cities were emptied. Whole planets were abandoned just at the news that Earth ships were coming. But not all aliens ran, in the system of Jurek Ved. A fleet of resistance ships waited. They called themselves the Shield of the Stars. Now they had gathered ships from dozens of species. They believed they could stop Earth here, at least slow them down. Their leader, Admiral Gorvok, stood at the center of his war bridge. He had studied human tactics. He had trained with old Earth battle recordings. He thought he was ready. He wasn't. When the humans arrived, they didn't follow normal tactics. They didn't talk. They didn't bluff. They moved like machines, silent, fast, perfect. Gorvak's fleet fired first. A wall of missiles and plasma lit up the dark. But the human ships were already past them, slicing through the center like knives. In 20 minutes, it was over. The Shield of the Stars was gone. Back on his burning ship, Gorvak lay on the floor. Blood leaking from his side, smoke around him. He coughed and laughed once. They were right, he whispered. You don't wake the sleeping beast. His final message was recorded, sent to the remaining systems. Don't fight them, just run. Dot. But there was nowhere left to run. Human. Ships began landing on enemy planets, not just bombing, but taking control. Soldiers in black armor moved street by street, capturing every government building. Not destroying, conquering. The message was clear. We are not here for peace. We are here for justice. One young human soldier, Private Kellen Graves, walked through the ruins of a city that once held 10 million. Now it was dust and silence. His squad moved past a playground, burned swings, cracked slide, melted ground. Kellen stopped. He looked down. A small alien doll lay in the ashes. It looked oddly familiar, like the doll the human child had been holding in that viral photo. He picked it up, stared at it. For a moment the war faded. Then his radio crackled. Graves, move. We're not done here. He dropped the doll and walked away. Above the planet, General Isha Bell watched from orbit. This isn't revenge anymore, she said. This is a storm. And storms don't listen. They just come. Now, as the fleet pushed into the final border systems, even the strongest empires of the galaxy began to understand. They had made a mistake far greater than they imagined. They didn't just hurt a child. They woke the full fury of Earth. The smoke over the planet Varnock was still thick. Ash rained down like snow. The skies were filled with human warships, silent but watching. No more bombs were falling. No more missiles flying. The attack was over, but Earth was not done yet. In the command center of the human flagship Justicar, Admiral Rahim stood in front of a massive screen. The face of a Varnock high commander appeared on it, bloody, burned and afraid. We surrender, the Varnock said, voice trembling. Please. Enough. Admiral Rahim did not smile. His face remained calm. We are not here to celebrate your surrender. We are here for something else. The Varnock commander nodded slowly. Justice. Rahim said nothing for a moment, then gave a signal. Across the planet, thousands of human drop pods fell from the sky like falling stars. They didn't carry bombs, they carried troops. Captain Naira and her unit landed near the old Varnock government building. It had been damaged by Earth's first strike, but the structure still stood. Inside, the humans found survivors, military leaders, officials, and scientists. Naira's team moved fast. They were not there to fight. They were there to record. Cameras were mounted on every helmet. The mission was simple. Gather names, faces, evidence. This war had started because of one thing, a child named Alira, but now it was about every child. About every human life ever touched by alien cruelty. And Earth had changed its laws. From now on, anyone who hurt a human citizen, child, or adult would be hunted. In one destroyed lab, human marines found cages. Small ones. Medical tables. Strange. Tools inside the cages? There were no living things left, only bones. Small ones. The scientists said nothing. Their silence was their confession. One marine foamed another, stared at the wall, fists clenched. This wasn't just war. This was something else. Something evil, back in orbit. Admiral Rahim received daily reports. Each one was worse than the last. Each one made Earth's response look too soft, and yet he didn't order more bombs. He ordered broadcasts. All across the galaxy, Earth began, sharing videos and edited raw footage of what the soldiers were finding. The world watched, and the galaxy, changed. In the capital of the Zorth Dominion, their emperor trembled as he watched the footage. The Zorth had once mocked humans. Now, they were quiet. Their fleets pulled back. Their diplomats began whispering apologies before Earth even contacted them. On the Valari trade hub, pirate kings who once kidnapped human children for ransom saw what Earth had done to Varnock. They knew their time was coming. Some fled. Others tried to hide. It didn't matter. Earth remembered, and Earth had learned how to find anyone. Meanwhile, Alira, the child who had survived, was still recovering on Earth. Her mother sat beside her hospital bed. Elira's hand was small in hers. Machines beeped gently in the room. Outside the window, blue skies stretched endlessly. News screens played across the city. Everyone saw them. Everyone talked about her. Ili Ra was not just a child anymore. She'd become something more. A symbol, not of pain, but of purpose. On the 7th day after Varnik fell, Earth sent one final message to the galaxy. It was not a threat, it was a promise, the message said. We were quiet for centuries. We trusted laws. We believed in peace. You hurt one of our smallest, thinking we were weak. Now you understand. Do not forget. We do not forgive. From this day, hurting a human is not just an act of war. It is a death sentence. And we do not. Miss that message echoed from planet to planet, across thousands of species, across empires and federations. Many tried to cover their past crimes. Some begged for forgiveness. A few offered peace. Earth did not reply to all. But Earth made one thing clear. Peace was still possible, but now it had a price, and that price was respect the galaxy had seen. Earth's fire, now it would learn to fear. Earth's fury, and it all began. Because someone struck one innocent child, and they thought no one would come for her? They were wrong. The sky's over. Therix is burned red. The final fleet of the Vroken Empire floated above their last stronghold. Below them, the surface of the planet trembled. Fires had already consumed entire cities. The few civilians left tried to flee underground bunkers. But even those were not safe anymore. Orbit above the planet had become a graveyard. Human ships stood in silence. Cold, motionless, but deadly. The Soul Reaper, Earth's most feared warship, hovered in front of the enemy's command vessel. Its hull was scorched from previous battles, but it still glowed with power. It had lost none of its strength. Inside the Vroken flagship, panic ruled. Why are they not responding to our surrender? Screamed Commander Dravel. His hands trembled. We sent the signal. We laid down our weapons. The human response was silence. Not a word, not a reply, just stillness. A quiet. Sharp message had been sent earlier from Earth's Central Command. Peace was offered. You chose pain, child cried. Now the stars will cry with you. Now, the reckoning had come. General Adrien Voss stood on the bridge of the Soul Reaper. His eyes were fixed on the enemy fleet. No hate in them. Just a cold sense of duty. They had their chance, he said quietly to his second in command. Lieutenant Reyes nodded. Orders. Adrien Voss stared at the planet one last time. He thought of the little girl whose image had spread across human space. Her small face broken and bruised. Her tears had been humanity's final line. End it, Voss said. A storm of light exploded from the Soul Reaper. Beams of energy, silent and pure, sliced through Vroken ships like they were paper. There was no dramatic music. No speeches. Just the clean precision of retribution. One by one, the enemy vessels disintegrated. Some tried to escape. None made it. The skies turned white as their engines ignited, died in mid-flight. Human drones swarmed like locusts, targeting every last escape pod. The Vrokens had shown no mercy to the child. Humanity returned the favor. Below on the planet, massive earthquakes began. Human seismic weapons planted days earlier by stealth teams, activated. Mountains cracked. Oceans boiled. The core of Theraxis groaned. A warning had been issued. Evacuate all Vroken colonies. Earth had given them time. They had laughed. They thought humanity was weak now. Their homeworld was collapsing in space. The other species of the galaxy watched. Through hidden probes, silent, speechless, entire councils fell quiet. For centuries, humans had been the kind and peaceful ones. The ones who talked before shooting. The ones who offered treaties instead of threats. But now the galaxy saw what Earth could be when it was pushed too far. When one child suffered, all of humanity stood up. And when humanity stood up, stars fell. After it was done, silence returned. Debris of the Vroken fleet floated like ashes in orbit. Theraxis was no more, just a scorched sphere drifting in space. The last signal from the planet had been a scream. Then nothing. Back on Earth, a small ceremony was held. The girl Murray stood next to her mother. She was safe now. Her wounds had healed, but her eyes still held fear. The president of Earth knelt beside her and gently placed a small medal on her chest. Not for bravery, he said softly, but for truth. You reminded us who we are. Cameras across the solar system captured the moment. Billions watched, and many cried. Many stood in silence. Humanity had spoken. One child's pain had lit a fire. And in that fire, the galaxy had seen something terrible and beautiful. Earth's love is deep, but Earth's wrath is deeper. In the aftermath, no one dared move against. Humanity again, borders expanded quietly. Human diplomats received apologies from old enemies. The treaties were rewritten. No species wanted to be the next Theraxis, but humans did not smile. They did not celebrate. They simply returned to their lives. They rebuilt, they remembered, and they made one final message. Broadcast into deep space on all frequencies. We tried. Peace. You chose blood. Now, you know the price. The stars would never forget. And if anyone, anywhere, ever thought to harm a human child again, they would remember what happened when Earth stopped holding back and when the fire returned.